Hello, everybody, and welcome into today's episode of Around the Slice. Now, originally, I was planning for my big return episode to be tomorrow, but of course, I had to push it up a day because, well, we have some kind of sad, maybe happy for some of you that want them gone breaking news as it pertains to the Buffalo Bills. I have no notes for this episode like usual, no preparation, really just thoughts truly off the top of the dome, if you will. So let's dive right into it. After 9 seasons, the Buffalo Bills are moving on from and firing head coach Sean McDermott. Before I break down the disconnect between Bean and McDermott and Pagula, any of that, I'm like, this isn't me getting emotional, but I just want to thank Sean McDermott for really sparking my love for the Buffalo Bills. I want to thank him for probably the best decade of my life. I mean, as usual, no, they didn't get over the hump, but they're one of only 6 teams in the NFL right now that have won a playoff game in each of the last 6 seasons. He broke the 18-year playoff drought in year 1 in 2017. He won the first playoff game in 2020 in really like 25 plus years. So I really want to thank him for that. So anyway, first I want to start, we'll cover head coach candidates next. First, I want to start with the disconnect between Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane over the last couple years. Because I promise you, anyone with a set of eyes could tell you that there was a clear disconnect between McDermott and Beane that's familiar with the situation like I am. First of all, before you ask, yes, I don't like it. I'm disappointed by it. Brandon Beane is being retained as general manager, as GM of this franchise going forward, and will head up the head coaching search. And not only that, Terry Pagula is promoting him the president of football operations. So not only is he going to be GM, he is going to have full 100% say and control over this coaching search, this roster, the building blocks for now and the future, which I hate. It really breaks my brain how Beane survived McDermott, not the other way around. In my opinion, they should have cleaned house with everybody but McDermott. McDermott already undermined Bobby Babich. McDermott was calling defensive plays, so Babich gone. Joe Brady gone. And well, I'll talk about him and head coach candidates. Brandon Beane gone. A lot of his front office gone. I wanted everyone gone but Sean McDermott. But here we are. We have to live in this reality. So the last couple of years, there's been a clear disconnect with McDermott and Beane. I say that because basically from 2017, when they arrived together, 2021, these guys were all happy with each other. They were having joint press conferences all the time. They were coming up to the podium, smiling together, all that. But then from 2022 till now, the last few years specifically, they haven't had a joint press conference in forever. They've been at the podium or at the table, if you will, forever. They have separate press conferences. And also, number 2, they've clearly been on different mindsets and wavelengths, if you will. It all started when McDermott went on the Jeremy and Joe show all the way back in last May in the spring, specifically on WGR 550, and blew the F up about all those wide receivers. You guys are just bitching about wide receivers. We've won all these games, blah, blah, blah. And then he says, it's not the receiver. It's not the talent around Josh Allen, without actually saying Sean McDermott's name, without actually name dropping Sean McDermott. He basically said, it's not the receiver's fault. It's not what I've constructed on offense fault. It's Sean McDermott's fault. It's his defensive play calling because he's the defensive play caller now over the last couple of years. So he basically called him out on that. And then it spilled over to the middle of the season. And I think Sean McDermott was very upset with how the trade deadline did or didn't go down. First of all, they didn't even make a trade, much to my dismay. They didn't even make a trade, and Sean McDermott clearly was upset about that, and he was asked multiple times, were you involved with the trade? What do you think about the trade deadline? He basically goes, yeah, that's Brandon Beane's wheelhouse. That's Brandon's wheelhouse. We'll let him handle that. You should have input as a head coach. And then, right after the trade deadline happened, he was clearly upset not getting Jacoby Myers in Beane's weak mindset, if you will, specifically because he raved about Jacoby Myers. Leading up to the Jaguars playoff game, he praised Jacoby Myers for how great of a route runner he is and how great of a player he would have wanted to have in all this. So I think he blames internally Beane for not being nearly aggressive enough, as do I. So I think there was a clear power struggle and disconnect between Beane and McDermott. And as much as I disagree with it, we know who Pagula would stand up for most. We clearly know now who is in his corner. He clearly had a much better relationship with Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott. Again, I heavily disagree with it, but we have to just break down reality of where we are right now. So I think the relationship was fractured. And I think that could spill over to the locker room now that McDermott specifically is gone. I think for as much as he built up this culture, I think it could all come crashing down after moving on from McDermott. You're already seeing players and former players sound off. Jordan Phillips posted on his Instagram story, quote, "This shit is crazy. One of the best coaches," referring to McDermott, "this shit is crazy. One of the best coaches I've ever been around." So he's gone in free agency. Daquan Jones, he posted on his Instagram story, "Makes no sense, but you got what you deserve." So I think that's a clear jab at Terry Pegula and ownership and his ownership group and team, if you will. And then Taron Johnson just simply posted SMH, shaking my head. SMH. And then Shaq Lawson, he goes stunned. And then Levi Wallace, a former player years ago, he goes, "I'm shocked." And apparently some player texted Cameron Wolf of NFL Network, "What's a F?" And apparently Buffalo Plus reported that they reached out to a player and that player said, "I'm stunned." So there's multiple different things going on, whether it's current players, former players sounding off on ownership with Terry Pegula and his ownership group. I think the veterans have to rally here. I think the leadership has to come back into focus. Josh Allen needs to step up vocally. Deion Dawkins, Dawson Knox, the guys that have been on before 2020, Ed Oliver, those guys need to step up because this could spill over into a locker room issue. Now, I want to get to the reasons before we talk about candidates to take over. I want to get to the reasons why I have such dismay with Brandon Beane because I've never really gone into it fully specifically on this podcast for you guys. He hasn't built a good roster over the last couple of years. I thought Sean McDermott did a fantastic job with rallying the troops. And I think he did one of his best coaching job of the entire season, specifically against the Broncos. But he doesn't have any personnel to work with, whether that, well, we'll start on defense. Oxley, Max Harrison goes down. McDermott can't control Dane Jackson getting burnt as soon as he comes in the game for a touchdown. McDermott can't control Darnell Savage, a fifth-string safety and fifth-string corner, and Dane Jackson coming in the game and getting burnt immediately and getting picked on. And then run defense, you have Ed Oliver, but that's it. Like Deanne Walker, okay. Daquan Jones is clearly washed up at this point. And the one thing on Beane I freaking hate, he's so loyal to a fault. It's so that's right. It's so freaking annoying. Stop bringing in all these old-ass players, for lack of a better term. Stop bringing in all these old-ass players, this old guard, if you will, and move the hell on. Stop bringing back Micah Hyde last year. Stop bringing back Jordan Poyer and Trey White this year. Stop bringing back Shaq Lawson, who hasn't played football in 3 freaking years. Stop bringing Matthew Judon, and he's clearly washed at this point in his career. And then you might have to move on from some old guard veterans, if you will, in Taron Johnson, in Deion Dawkins, although that might be kind of bold. There's a lot there. In Dawson Knox. I know people, those are fan favorite players, but enough is enough already. The results aren't translating. You got promoted, as much as I hate it, you got promoted to president of football operations. Stop failing this roster. Now we flip over to the offensive side of the ball. The leading receiver, Khalil Shakir, had 700-something yards. Leading, quote unquote. That's your number one pass catcher? Are you freaking kidding me? What is that? And in the playoffs, in a have-to-have a situation, as much as the refs did screw us and the officiating was freaking god-awful, relying on a 33-year-old Brandon Cooks to separate and get open downfield, do something. Sign a Romeo Dobbs. Sign an Alec Pierce. I don't freaking care. Sign someone and then throw a ton of draft capital in the first round at a wide receiver. You need legit defensive reinforcements. There's a ton of needs on this team. Wide receiver, corner, edge for the 100th year in a row. Defensive tackle for the 100th year in a row. Safety especially. Linebacker especially. You got to phase out Matt Milano. You got to move Terrell Bernard to weak side linebacker. Those are some lingering thoughts I have there. Josh Allen needs help. Look at him in the postgame. I've never seen him actually cry before, but he was about to bawl and just swell up in tears. It was hard to watch. And then I was swelling up in tears because I feel so bad for him. Brandon Beane has failed this roster. He's failed this organization. He got Sean McDermott fired. And most importantly, he failed his franchise QB in Josh Allen. Whew. Okay, that was good to go off my chest on why I had so much dismay and disdain and hate for Brandon Beane right now and going forward. Anyway, talking about head coach candidates. So as I think about this before I came on the recording all day, there's 3 paths / avenues they could go, if you will. A proven head coach that has a great track record of actually winning the big game before, winning the Super Bowl before. That's number 1. Number 2, they could go with one of these hotshot coordinators / position coaches. Okay. And then number 3, they could promote from within, which I'm going to get it out of the way now. Joe Brady, that would break my brain. I would become physically ill if they promoted John Brady to head coach. Before we start with some candidates, I want to get out of the way who I don't want. I already threw Joe Brady out the window. I just explained it. Everyone runs Brian Daboll. I don't. I think he's too much of a hothead. Yes, he gets in Josh Allen's face as an OC, as an offensive coordinator, as his buddy, give him tough love a lot. But I don't think that's the temperament you want in your head coach. So if Brian Daboll wants to come back as offensive coordinator, I would love it. Everyone wants Mike McDaniel, offensive genius. If he wants to come back as OC as well, fine, different conversation. But I think he's a horrible leader. People would show up late to meetings like they did in Miami. We already have that issue with Keon Coleman. We don't need more of that. And then I want to get a few defensive guys out of the way. As much as I love Jesse Minter, Brian Flores, Chris Shula of the Rams, and Vance Joseph of the Broncos, it wouldn't make sense. You just fired. Why would you hire a defensive-minded coach after you just fired a very successful defensive-minded coach? And at the end of the day, that was the whole freaking point. That would literally break my brain. I wouldn't be able to wrap my head around moving on from a very successful defensive-minded coach and bringing in another defensive-minded coach. As much as I do love those candidates singularly by themselves, not for these Buffalo Bills, not for the Bills, man. So that wouldn't make sense. Now, if you want to go the proven route, and Bill Belichick. Screw that. I think he's content at college. I think the game has passed him by. I think it would be a Pete Carroll thing with the Raiders all over again. So screw that Bill Belichick idea. 2 guys that I have up front at the top of my head, off the dome, if you will. Number 1, Mike Tomlin. I know he wants to coach, or I know it's being reported that he wants to take a year off, and Fox has offered him oogles of money to go be an in-studio analyst, pregame, postgame, halftime, whatever the hell, for them. But if he does want to coach a successful franchise that's had a lot of success specifically over the last 5 or 6 years, he'll come to the Bills. But if he has 1 foot out the door, 1 foot in the door, I don't know if you really want that. He's a great tone setter. He's a great culture setter, but he hasn't had success in like 10 or 11 years now. He hasn't won a playoff game in 2016. He's 0-6 for his last 6 playoff games, and the wild card round's been brutal. Number 2, I'm warming up to this idea more and more as a guy that took a year off and then can come back, who's won a Super Bowl before. And that is Mike McCarthy, former Packers head coach, former Cowboys head coach. Obviously, with the Cowboys, a few 12-5 seasons, but faltered in the wild card round, faltered in the divisional round, and the Bills falter, unfortunately, in the playoffs as well. So I'm kind of 50-50 on that idea. Next, we have the hotshot coordinators / position coaches. First is Davis Webb. Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills and Brandon Beane as an organization actually have established chemistry, if you will, with Davis Webb, because in 2021 on Brian Daboll's staff, it was when Brian Daboll left to be the Giants, they were trying to look for a new OC, and the Bills actually offered, and Sean McDermott actually offered Davis Webb the offensive coordinator position in 2022. He turned it down, wanted to play one year, made his first career start in that year with the Giants, and then he transitioned quickly to coaching, and now has been the Denver Broncos pass game coordinator / QB's coach with Sean Payton in Denver. He's had a lot of success. He was instrumental in the development of Bo Nix and the offense as a whole over the last 2 years, and now they're in the AFC Championship. We'll see if he can work his magic or not with Jarrett Stidham. But I would take – I don't know how I feel about Davis Webb as a head coach. I want someone that's already been established or that can revolutionize the offense. But I've heard nothing but great things from people. Nothing but great rumblings, if you will. So, yeah, I mean, I would like him more as an offensive coordinator than a head coach, but that's an option. My personal favorite candidate, first of all, Cliff Kingsbury, no. Brian, like I already talked about Brian Dable. Clint Kubiak, he had success with the Saints for as dumpster fire of a franchise they were 2 years ago with Derek Carr. And Seattle, he's revolutionized that offense. Sam Darnold isn't some all-world, not even close to it. He's probably like a top 15, 18 QB in the league. Not this year, but overall in his career. I would love Clint Kubiak. I think it would revolutionize the offense. And if freaking Brandon Beam, God damn it, would just give him weapons, that would be awesome. Draft a first-round receiver. And also, his boy Rashid Shaheed would probably follow him. He's been in them with the Saints. He's been in with him with the Seattle, with the Seahawks. I would love it. A receiver room of Shakir, Shaheed, maybe keep Josh Palmer around, cut Curtis Samuel, and then draft a surefire first-round wide receiver. So my personal pick would be Clint Kubiak. But yeah, in my opinion, this is a sad day. I wanted everyone else fired, not Sean McDermott. So, I mean, I don't know. Like, thank you, Sean McDermott, for the best decade of my life, as I'm sure many is the case with many others. You're the reason why I became a Buffalo Bills fan in the first place. But I think a new era is coming, and I think a lot of veteran players will be moved on from. The whole defense is going to be revamped. Oh, and Bobby Babbitt is going to be gone. He was already undermined by Sean McDermott anyway, who's now also gone, and those two have a very tight relationship. So, yeah. I'm not saying none of the blame is on Sean McDermott, but a lot of the blame is on Brandon Beane for completely failing Josh Allen, this roster, this organization, and then Terry Pegula. I doubt we even hear from him. It sounds like we're going to get the press conference tomorrow, and it will be Brandon Beane's show 100% as the GM and president of football operations now. So I can't believe. Don't ask me what he did to deserve a promotion. I don't know. I wanted him gone as the GM, let alone being upgraded, promoted to freaking president of football operations. I don't know how that dynamic works, but there was a clear disconnect between the two of them. I would have fired Brandon Beane, but hey, what do I know? Anyway, yeah, going forward with Around the Slice, we're going to be back the second week of February. We're going to be previewing Bills' internal free agents, who they should bring back, who should they walk. And then my favorite time of the year, previewing free agency, outside free agency. Lord knows we freaking need it. Brandon Beane needs to attack. So, yeah. Anyways, please follow me on Twitter /X at @Weingartner13. You can follow the show on Twitter for any scheduling updates and other fun stuff at Around Slice. You can listen or watch this podcast on YouTube, Apple, Spotify. We're back. It feels so good, or wherever you get your podcast. Thank you for the support as always. Let me know down in the comments below. Are you sad that McDermott's gone? Do you think it was time for change? I'm personally sad. Let me know all your feelings down in the comments below. This is going to take a few days to get used to. It really shows, guys, that no one's job is safe in the NFL. John Harbaugh is now the Giants coach after getting moved on from in Baltimore after 19 years. This is just wild. Anyways, I was not expecting this, but here we are in this reality somehow. Thank you for the support as always. I will see you on the next one. Goodbye.